Hello, you're watching Ambassador Press Club here on TVRI World. My name is Rahmat Idris. We're coming to you from the capital, Jakarta, Indonesia. For the next hour, as always, we are here delving deep into bilateral cooperations and relations with our international counterparts, and even more importantly, discover opportunities of economic cooperations and trades. And for this particular edition, coming to you especially, we are talking about a very unique country, if I may say. It is one of the most culturally and technologically influential nations in the world. And just to lead you in, a few keywords probably, I should just mention IKEA or Volvo for music fans out there, ABBA, or for the young'uns, Zara Larsson's. I guess you know where I'm going with this. The beautiful country of Sweden. As we know, Indonesia and Sweden have long shared harmonious bilateral and diplomatic relations that dates back decades ago. And for this editions of Ambassador Press Clubs, I am extremely privileged and honored to be seated with our esteemed guest at the panel. Allow me to introduce. Right next to me is the ambassador of Sweden to Indonesia, Timor-Leste, and ASEAN, His Excellency, Mr. Daniel Blockert. A very good day to you, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for making the time to TVRI World. And joining us for the conversations as well, three other esteemed gentlemen. Right next to Mr. Ambassador is the Managing Director of Southeast Asia of Getinge Company. Says it's Getinge, but in Swedish that is Getinge. I just learned that. Mr. Teodor Johanssen, a good day to you, Mr. Teodor.
Good day. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us here in the studio. And next to him is the Managing Director of Southeast Asia of Elekta, Indonesia, Mr. Samuel Lee, also hailing from Singapore. Both of you gentlemen, thank you very much. Mr. Lee, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And at the end of the conversation table is the President Director of PT Essity Hygiene and Health Indonesia. The other Indonesian here at the panel, Mr. Irfan Pramono. Selamat siang. Good to see you, Mr. Irfan Pramono. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mas Rahmat.
And I should say also in Swedish, I just learned this, pardon my accent, tack, trevligt et travis.
That's quite good.
Oh, okay. I guess I meant the word. It means very nice to meet you in Swedish. And it is very nice to meet you indeed, Mr. Ambassador. We cannot wait to learn more about the beautiful Sweden and also about our business counterparts who have been making strides and how we are just awaiting for technological adoptions from your country to Indonesia. But in the meantime, we have a short visuals on the beautiful country of Sweden before we begin our conversation to sort of lay the foundations to what we're going to discuss. Take a look.
What's happening in North Sweden right now is truly amazing. Every day I meet brave companies and investors that are the real drivers behind the green transition. They are scaling up to battle climate change at a global scale.
What seemed impossible only a few years ago is becoming reality. But why northern Sweden? What's driving the green transition here? We have 100% green electricity at a very competitive price. Then we have a 50% surplus in electricity production, a stable hydropower base, and fast-growing wind power generation. All that create a solid platform for a vibrant business climate.
The largest river in the northern Sweden has 15 terawatts of electricity coming out each and every year. Makes it a region that has very large volume of green electrons with relatively little fluctuations in price.
Collaboration is key to innovation, to problem solving, and to making the most out of the many unique opportunities on offer.
In Sweden, and specific here in the northern Sweden, we have a unique ability to collaborate. It's organic, it's like breathing. To me, that's a really beautiful thing, and that's what joins us together.
The many value chains represented in northern Sweden make collaboration easier. They connect like-minded business partners and they provide global markets with sustainable products. From forest products to new bio-based materials, from natural graphite to battery anode materials, and from iron ore to fossil-free steel.
We see experienced and productive workforce, significant infrastructure and advanced logistics,
throughout the whole mineral value chain. The many established value chains in northern Sweden provide a sound environment for investments to thrive.
Universities, industrial corporations, innovative startups, and investors are joining forces to create growth, prosperity, and a sustainable future. The emerging green hydrogen ecosystem enables new and existing value chains alike to decarbonize, and a circular approach is turning today's mine waste into tomorrow's resources. Northern Sweden is thriving. Together, let's pioneer the possible.
Well, there you have it, the green transitions. All of the industries are now going towards environmentally friendly operations over in Sweden, something that Indonesia is also striving to do. First, let me start with you, Mr. Ambassador. A lot of us, including myself, have not been to Sweden. Stockholm is definitely in the bucket list, but please give us the highlights of what your country likes and some of the things that you're truly most proud of.
Well, the video that we just saw are from northern parts of Sweden, which is a beautiful part of the country, but quite different from the rest. I mean, Stockholm is a big city. In the southern parts of Sweden, it will be more densely populated than you see up north. But I think that the video highlights something that we are very proud of, and I think that most Swedes feel very strongly about, and that is the closeness to nature. That nature is never far away from us, even if we are in a big city. And if there's one thing that I miss here in Jakarta is just to be able to take a walk, to see some greenery.
Open wide green space.
Exactly. And that is something that I think is very, very typical of Sweden, for the Nordic countries in general, and something that is very close to the sort of Swedish soul. That we like to be close to nature, and nature is also accessible to everyone. We have what we call allemansrätten, which means that you have the right to go almost anywhere, even on private land, which is, I think, one of the cores of being Swedish.
What do you think initiated these massive movements, not only in Sweden, but also overall in Scandinavian countries that have this concern over the switch towards sustainability?
I think that's connected to the first answer, that we are connected to nature, and we see the negative results on nature very clearly ourselves. We have also, and I would be the first one to admit it, it's easier for us because we are a sparsely populated country. We have a lot of natural resources. We saw from the video that you showed that in especially the northern parts, we have hydropower, we have wind power. It's difficult, of course, expensive, but we have the possibility to create green energy. And that is also something that's the foundation of our bilateral cooperation with Indonesia. Because we are a small country. We don't pretend that we can collaborate with Indonesia in every sector, in every area. We have a few areas where we feel that we have something to offer, and where we also feel that there is something that we can learn from Indonesia. And almost all of them are connected to sustainability in some way. Because that's where we have solutions. And like you say, it's very similar to the other Nordic countries, because we have a mindset among the Nordics that I think is quite close in this area. And we complement each other.
And on that note, also there's commitment from this far more developed nations to sort of assist the less developed nations, developing economies like ours, to make the same strides as well amidst all of these challenges, Mr. Ambassador.
Absolutely, and this is, I know you know that as well as I do. It's something that's being discussed and negotiated on the highest level.
Since the G20, though, it's one of the main pillars as well.
Exactly,
the transformation.
And you have the big projects like the JETP that's here in Indonesia
Just Energy Transition Program.
Exactly.
I was gonna
exactly. But I think that from us, it's part, of course, what we can offer. But we have created in Indonesia something that we called the Swedish-Indonesia Sustainability Partnership, SISP.
What does it entail, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, it has 4 key sectors. It's transport, energy, health, and mainly mining. So that's sort of our key sectors. And those are sectors where we feel that Sweden can offer something, and where we have cooperation with Indonesia that is very highly developed. And the interest goes in both directions. And we have, with me today, I have 3 companies in one of those sectors, in the health sector. that I think are very good examples of what we can offer.
Right. I'd like to also address the rest of our panel here, representing different companies operating in the region of Southeast Asia, and also one here in the country. On the topic of commitment to sustainability and green industry, Mr. Teodor, how has your company been making strides in this particular field?
Yeah, so of course we're a global company and we have manufacturing sites all over the world. So of course they have certain commitments, targets, etc. For a sales office like the one I'm in charge of, we also, I mean, we have products that have sustainability solutions built into them. We, you know, that can help out on environmental impact, you know, lowering staff costs as well, right. Which is also a part of sustainability in our company, to look after people as well.
Right. Yeah. Carbon emission has been a hot topic on the table in terms of reducing its emissions from different industries. Mr. Samuel, what about yours, and also Mr. Irfan later on this topic?
Yeah, so Elekta is you know, a global company.
Yeah.
We are very we place a lot of emphasis on sustainability in this topic as well. So I think from the Elekta standpoint, what we do is that we try to ensure, you know, very good ethical business behaviors. We do initiatives that, you know, have very good business controls, ensuring that like, for example, ethical supply chain management, and of course to manage our customers and stakeholders in a fair and equal way.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Mr. Irfan, your company probably has the most concern since you operate within the health sector. What's the company's commitment on this?
Yeah, so that's the thing. As a global company, actually, you also have a commitment on the sustainability, especially on the global point of view. Because of currently Indonesia, we don't have any factor, we don't have any plan. But in terms of the global things, actually, we have a commitment to make sure that the sustainability is the most important thing, especially how to make sure we giving back to the environment.
Right.
So this is something.
In the upcoming segments, we're going to focus to each and every one of your company to know more about how you operate within each entities. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break right here. Ambassador Press Club will return in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. You're still watching Ambassador Press Club here on TVRI World, coming to you from the capital, Jakarta, Indonesia. We are extremely honored to be seated with the Ambassador of Sweden to Indonesia, Timor-Leste and ASEAN, and our business counterparts from Sweden as well. Before we continue on with the next segment of our conversations, we put together some of the most popular opinions on Sweden. Take a look.
Det bästa med Sverige skulle jag säga är just vintern, eftersom då kan man åka kälke och snön är så vackert.
Ja, men det bästa med Sverige är havet. Det finns närheten till hav, vatten överallt i hela landet.
Det bästa med Sverige är den kulturen som vi har på jobbet med den förståelse för familjen. Att när man har små barn, att man behöver stanna hemma så kan man stanna hemma.
Det bästa med Sverige tycker jag är att vi har 4 olika årstider. Så man får variation med vinter, vår, sommar och höst.
Allemansrätten är någonting som jag tycker är någonting unikt och fantastiskt med Sverige. Sen alla härliga människor såklart.
Right, some interesting visuals there, from the very cold snow to someone just basking in the glorious heat near the fire camp there. Mr. Ambassador, walk us through the current landscape of the bilateral relations between Indonesia and Sweden. We are aware that you've been stationed for less than a year here in the country. How has it been for you thus far?
First of all, I have to say, after looking at these videos, that we don't always have snow and winter.
That's right.
We have summers too in Sweden.
And beautiful summer at that. I've seen a lot of pictures and YouTube videos.
Yeah, can be very nice. I've loved the time that I've been here. I really like this country. We have, as you say, strong bilateral relations. You know that even if Sweden is a small country, we are a little bit unusual in the sense that we have a number of big companies. Unusually big for such a small country. You mentioned IKEA, you have H&M, you have Ericsson, you have ABB,
Volvos
and Scania and AstraZeneca.
And one of the most influential bands on earth.
Yes, absolutely, yes. We are always reminded
Who
of the
still
greatness
makes cultural impacts up until
Even though
now.
I understand that here in Indonesia you don't call them ABBA, you call them
ABBA.
Yes, I have to get used to that.
Yeah.
But that means also, because we've had so many global companies, and some of them are old, that we have been present here for a long time. I think that Ericsson, for instance, they sold their first telephone in Indonesia in 1907.
Yeah.
So the bilateral relationship goes
That's
way
like 50
back.
years before we even gain our independence.
Exactly.
So that says something.
We recognized Indonesia early on, so next year we will celebrate 75 years of diplomatic relations, so we are going to do something big about that.
What's in the plan for that, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, there are a few different things. I don't want to spoil everything, but we are looking to have high-level visits. We have had high-level visits from Indonesia to Sweden.
And vice versa.
Last year we had Foreign Minister Retno and also the Minister for Public Works, Basuki, were in Sweden, both of them. Yeah. And we hope to bring Swedish ministers here and other high-level visits. But the main cooperation is in the business sector. And like I said, we've had Swedish companies here for a very long time and that have very sort of strong bilateral commitments. So we feel that there is a lot of potential.
Right.
I worked a lot with trade policy and trade negotiations in my career, so I'm always skeptical towards trade statistics because they don't capture everything. You look, for instance, if you look at Swedish exports to Indonesia, it's not a lot, and if you look at Indonesian exports to Sweden, it's even less. But
it has bigger potential.
It has bigger potential. It's increasing. But also, if you look at, for instance, a company like H&M, they are actually exporting from Indonesia. But that would never, you could never spot that in trade statistics.
H&M actually has a factory here in the country?
They use local factories here, and they export from this region. But that will show up in the trade statistics as Indonesian exports. You would never know that a Swedish company was involved.
Yeah.
And so, since so many of our companies are global, they are sort of inserted in the economy here. So I think that the influence is much bigger than just statistics.
Right. So if you're skeptical with the numbers, with the statistics, because it doesn't represent what it truly is, what are the highlights of our relations aside from the diplomatic and bilateral relations? And also, aside from the economic perspective, as you mentioned as well, Your Excellency?
Well, there are plenty of them, but since I have with me today several companies in the health sector, I think that's a good example. We have several Swedish companies who are active here. Yeah. There is a lot of potential. You've done reforms in Indonesia in the health sector. Yeah. We try also
massive one since the pandemic in particular.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have the ambition here to work in what we call a triple helix. So we have government, we have business, we have academia, and we also have some development assistance. We have programs, for instance, with education of midwives. So we are, together with the Ministry of Health, we are creating a platform where you have a lot of different parts, everything from being involved in how you run hospitals, machinery. We have a PhD program that we're launching in one of the universities here in medical
faculties.
Medical faculties. So that's typical of the way we try to work, that we create not single projects here and there, but we try to create something that will be a platform to build on. And I think that health is one of the most promising areas.
Right. From the time that you served here in the country, your stewardship in Indonesia, Your Excellency, do you see that Indonesia nurtures a fertile investment opportunities for the business people, for example, companies from Sweden, to not only survive but thrive here in the country, and vice versa, our very own over in Sweden?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah. The positive part, and that's really the biggest part, is that there's a lot of interest from Swedish business for Indonesia, because you've had growth, economic growth here for many years. Right. The transformation to democracy has worked very well. You just had presidential elections that worked very well. There were no sort of turmoil or problems. Yeah. So people are getting sort of an idea that this is a country that you should invest in. So there's a lot of interest. I think that when we talk to Indonesian counterparts, they welcome these contacts. There are areas on the regulatory side that makes it challenging. I fully understand the idea of sort of a downstreaming economy, but it has to be done in a way that...
We've had to battle European Union on that matter.
Yeah, but sometimes if you want to attract investments, you don't want to create an investment climate that is too difficult with sort of import-export bans, quota restrictions, local production, certification. You want to find the balance. And I know that there are Swedish companies looking to invest, but they are also hoping for reforms that would come.
Right.
But in general, there is a lot of interest.
There's a healthy investment climate that we offer.
Yes.
So what's the main expectations here on behalf of the Indonesian, pardon me, on behalf of the Swedish government here in Jakarta?
I think that it's the first part is the business part, and then also if you look at what the Swedish government, Indonesia is becoming more and more of a global player. There are security issues. There are a lot of tensions right now in the world. We see that Indonesia is becoming more and more active. It's the biggest country in Southeast Asia. So we are also trying to, I think, strengthen contacts in different types of exchanges that are not only business, but also to understand the country better, where we can cooperate. We have a long history of non-alignment, even if Sweden just changed that, but we had a long time before, so there is a lot of common entry points, I think.
Right. We'll be right back right here on Ambassador Press Club. Don't go anywhere. Hey there, thank you for staying with us on today's editions of Ambassador Press Club. We're still coming from the capital Jakarta, Indonesia, with some esteemed guests from the Swedish Embassy and also our Swedish counterparts from the business sectors. And now I'd like to go deep into the company called Getinge, or Getinge Riding. We have with us the Managing Director for the region, Southeast Asia, Mr. Teodor Johanssen. A lot of us have only heard about the Getinge company for the first time. Mr. Teodor, please walk us through about what exactly is your company about.
Well, thank you for having us. So it could be a long story because Getinge was
shortly.
Getinge was actually founded 120 years ago.
Yeah.
So it started off in a small town just south of Gothenburg called Getinge, and then it has expanded over the years with a number of acquisitions, especially in the past decades. So healthcare practitioners, they will also know Getinge, but also the brand name of Mackay. So it has a number of sort of high-profile acquisitions along the way.
Right. Before we go deeper on that, we have the visuals just to corroborate what you've just said. Let's take a look at the short overview of Getinge Company.
The future of healthcare. What does it look like? A place where all of us have access to safe and efficient care with the latest advancements in science. Because scientists all over the world work day and night to discover cures, they need efficient ways to do so, as do the manufacturers in preparing the drugs. By using solutions for the cleaning, disinfection, and sterilization of medical instruments, hospitals can secure efficient workflows in time for each surgery, a never-ending process to keep saving lives. Improved safety and outcomes in the OR require advanced technology with easy-to-use solutions that work seamlessly and give medical teams more time for what matters most, caring for patients. Cardiovascular diseases are among the top causes of death globally. In the moment when care is most needed, there are solutions that support faster recovery, minimize infections, and reduce risks of complications. New infrastructure, therapies, and services are making the intensive care experiences more responsive than ever before, with scalable solutions and efficient workflows that create a beneficial environment for both patients and staff. experience and a strong passion for life, we keep working on improving healthcare and creating something better together.
Well, there you have it, a leading medical technology company working in healthcare and life science, born in Sweden. Mr. Teodor, what are some of the most prominent services and products that your company has to offer?
Right, so yeah, it could be a long answer as well. I try to keep it short. So getting us started with sterilizers and washers for the CSSD. And the Mackay brand name is very known for its operating tables, operating lights and pendants. And one very large and important acquisition was the servo ventilators, which have been around in Indonesia and globally for over 50 years. So ventilators, anesthesia machines. We also manufacture ECMO devices, which was a hot name during the pandemic as well.
Exactly. When you say ventilator, I think immediately how it was a rare product here in the country. It was just sold out everywhere.
Yes.
Probably one of those was produced by your companies, I suppose.
Definitely. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So a lot of them come from the site in Sweden, actually. So the ventilators are produced in Stockholm, Sweden.
Right. So how do you operate? You're managing the region, Southeast Asia. How do you operate within the regions, and in particular in Indonesia?
Yeah, so for Indonesia, we have a couple of distributors, long-term distributors who have been around for decades, actually. And we work very closely with them, providing support, but also ensuring that the distributor live up to the standards of Getinge in terms of compliance, code of conduct, and so on, but also in terms of training and keeping up to date with all the technologies and solutions that we have. So it's a very close collaboration.
So you have a lot of chain distributors in the country working closely with the hospitals as well?
Yes.
For that matter?
Yes, exactly. So the two main distributors is PT Indosofa and PT Intergastra, who have been here for many decades, actually. And yes.
Well, you mentioned over 50 years in operations in the country, even though you're based in Singapore. What are the challenges to operate in developing economies, if we may say? Because we believe that as a leading medical tech company, you have certain standards that you uphold, and applying those standards to a country like ours may pose challenging. What are those challenges and how do you overcome them?
Well, I mean, the challenge is usually getting the budgets for the equipment that we sell. Of course, our equipment are very advanced, but they're also life-saving, so it's a balance between the investment and also the outcome of the equipment. So we do also invest a lot in sort of emerging markets and the mid-range type of equipment as well. So we have the high range and also
sort of accommodates a wider range of consumers, if we may say.
Yes.
Just different levels of affordability in regards to our country, for that matters.
Exactly.
What sort of involvements of the local peoples in your? You said that we are distributing your products, but in terms of research and developments, other than selling the products?
Well, of course, we work with, having been established here for so many years, we work with all the large hospitals like Harapan-Kita, Cipto, Darmais, Gatot Subroto Army Hospital, as well as the private hospital chains like Siloam and Pertamedica, Mayapada. So we have a lot of exchange with them, training exchanges, there's scientific programs as well, and scientific societies here that we are a large part of. Right. So we connect them with our global specialists or peer-to-peer trainings as well, globally, but also regionally.
Right. You also mentioned about this briefly, how Swedish have started to embrace the educations of medical faculties. Let us in more about this, Mr. Ambassador.
Well, yes, there has been close cooperation between several of the universities in Sweden and institutions here as well. But what we have launched now, or are launching, is a PhD program that is sponsored actually by the main owner of Getinge, who felt that he wanted to do something in Indonesia, not only bringing Indonesian students to Sweden, because that would be sort of the traditional solution, but to build centers of excellence here. So,
Mr. Teodor, how do you distinguish, because we believe that in the medical sectors, medical is an industry, how do you distinguish your products and your services from your competitors here in the country and in the region of Southeast Asia to sort of excel compared to the others?
Well, we want to be a leading medtech company, and of course we invest a lot into R&D.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of solutions that add clinical value and can really prove clinical outcome. So we like to work with hospitals in something we call a hospital transformational program, where we can show them that investing in these products can actually lead to shorter length of stay or reduce anesthetic agent or just improve hospital workflows in general.
What would you say the biggest challenges of distributing your products here in the country? Because we still have a lot of homework in terms of advancing our medical infrastructure. We still need more doctors, we still need more hospitals, especially in locations that are sometimes out of coverage. Has that also been a part of Getinge's operations here in the country to do these outreaches?
Well, in a sense, I mean, our head offices are very good at providing training. So we have a clinical education platform that is online where everyone can read about the products and get basic training as well. But we also have an extensive network of clinical specialists that are available. And now after COVID, it's also very accessible to do webinars and online trainings.
Yeah.
So I would say
it's become the norm now.
Yes, exactly, and it's very appreciated, right? So we can provide that training and also provide all the material linked to it.
Right. As for the region of Southeast Asia, what's the blueprint of expansion there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's more to get better reach and to have more customers understand the value of our products. So this is something that we're very appreciative, especially this program is an example of that, where we collaborate to provide more training and hopefully have a broader reach. The products are there. It's a vast portfolio. Some products are very much established, but some other areas are those that can be developed and definitely have a mutual benefit.
Right. So you're operating from Singapore, I mean the company. There's no headquarters here in Indonesia, in Jakarta, for example.
Yes, that's correct.
Is there a plan to open one soon? Or
well, at the moment we're very happy with the distribution network, and Singapore is so nearby. So as you know, it's just an hour-and-a-half flight.
Yeah, but when you don't have to fly, it's easier to just. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Teodor. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
That's
Next
good.
segment
You should get them to move here.
One of our missions here in the program.
You should push all of them. Yeah, that's good.
Your Excellency. We have more exciting topics coming up in the next segment of Ambassador Press Club. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. And you are still watching Ambassador Press Club here on TVRI World. We still have the pleasure to be accompanied by our esteemed guests from the Swedish Embassy here in Jakarta and also our counterparts from Swedish companies operating here in Indonesia. Next up, I'd like to go to a company that offers solution to radiotherapy and cancer treatment. Take a look at their profile. Well, there you have it, a glimpse on the company that was born in Sweden called Elekta, which offers solution to radiotherapy and cancer treatment and many others. And here with us is the Managing Director of Southeast Asia, also a regional manager, Mr. Samuel Lee. Samuel, thank you very much for flying in from Singapore. I hope you had a safe flight, considering all the things that are happening in the air at the moment.
Yes, extremely safe. I'm here safe and sound.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to have you here for our conversations. Walk us through what Elekta company is all about.
I think we have seen the video earlier on. So Elekta is actually headquartered in Sweden, Stockholm. We are a company that produce and develop radiation therapy devices, as well as what we call this stereostatic radiation surgery devices. Basically, we use these devices for the treatment of cancer, tumors, as well as some brain disorders. Yeah, so our company is a global company. We have more than 40 offices globally in more than 40 countries, with more than 4,500 employees globally.
Right. What about your operation here in the region, in Southeast Asia? How do you operate, and in particular, the work of your headquarters here in Indonesia?
Okay, so we have offices in Southeast Asia, Elekta main offices mainly in Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, definitely, Vietnam, Philippines as well. So in particular for Indonesia, we started our operations just quite recent, I think it's about 2 years ago, where we decided to come into Indonesia so that we can get into the action more with the local clinicians, the local partners over here in Indonesia, so we can get to work more closely with them.
How long has Elekta been operating here in the country, Samuel?
Probably it's about less. Oh, you mean in the country?
Yeah, in Indonesia.
It's a long time because prior to us coming direct, we have been working with local distributors in the countries. So Elekta is probably in Indonesia for many years, I would say.
Even before the headquarters was established here in the country, probably through the distributor channels and everything.
That's right.
But we have to say that the technology for cancer treatment, the oncology developments here in the country is one of the challenging tasks of our medical sectors. How do you contribute to the advancements of the adoption of technology and the way we cure cancer here in the country?
Yeah, so cancer has always been a very significant burden, not only in Indonesia, but in everywhere else, and we do know that the number of cancer facilities in many countries is always insufficient, right? So for example, in Indonesia, what Elekta do is that we try to introduce, the advanced technology into the market. So like for traditional treatments like 2D, 3D, IMRT treatments, we already introduced a more advanced technique, which is what we call the SBRT, stereostatic body radiation therapy, as well as SRS. But more recently, we are trying to introduce something of even more advanced, which is what we call an MR-guided radiation therapy, where you can use MRI together with a linear accelerator, where you can, during the delivery treatment, you can actually visualize, where are you exactly treating during the treatment. That's one part. We introduce new technology. On the second part, we try to do more training and as well as education initiatives with the local institutions here. So we work with the local clinicians, healthcare institutions and everything. So we run like workshops, we run online seminars, we do lectures and everything to try to bring the local clinicians or the local users up to speed with more advanced technique, so that they can provide better care. They can use our machines more safely, more effectively, and that's how we try to push up on, trying to increase the adoption of such technologies in Indonesia.
Right. Do you rate your products based on the one for sale, for example, but also the level of success in regards to cancer cure or treatment? I mean, how does it go? Because every time we talk about cancer, it's always the level of success on whether or not the cancer is cured or whether or not will return or or in remission or something. I mean, I don't know all the medical terms of it, but how do you measure how your equipment operates in terms of helping out cancer cases in our country?
Wow, this...
Or in the region. Probably not your place to answer, but if you know any knowledge about this.
Yeah, okay, so I would say if you talk about, you know, remissions and everything, I think this question, I would rather leave it to the clinicians to
and it is a bit of a sensitive, heartbreaking part to talk about.
But I think for us, if you want to rate success, you know, it's more about having the right type of machines or the right type of technology here for the local people. And at the same time, you know, the users, I would say the clinicians or the operators are well-trained enough to deliver what is necessary.
Right. Make the most of the equipments that they have. And thus, the training, the cooperations with university, as you mentioned, with clinicians. Okay. But what distinguished your products, the Elekta products, from those offered within the radiotherapy and cancer treatments?
Well, I would say for us, we have the full range of radiation therapy products. From what I mentioned earlier, the MR Linac.
Yeah.
We just recently launched a new product, which is a CT-based Linac that allows you to adapt your treatment plans for cancer treatment. We have a full range of brachytherapy solutions, which is another part of radiation therapy. We also have this thing called the Gamma Knife, which is a stereotactic radiation surgery, which is a special equipment that we have. So I think I can safely say we are the only company that provides the full range. And that
a comprehensive
differentiate
tools
us from our competitors.
Right.
He doesn't want to say that they have the best products, but of course I can, because I don't have any responsibility, so I can say that, well, they have the best range.
I guess we understand.
A broad range and the best one. But I wanted, sorry to break in here, but I think that you touched upon something very important when you talked about cancer and the statistics that you have, because you have in Indonesia concerning statistics that there are some types of cancer where the rate of mortality is quite high.
Yeah.
And the challenge that you have in your system is, of course, that you have to reach out to people, because everyone knows that treatment of cancer, success rate goes up enormously if you can catch it early.
Exactly.
So early detection.
Yeah, not in the fourth.
No, and that is also something that we're looking at.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, because the reforms that has been introduced here in Indonesia, if they can be combined with effective systems of reaching out and getting also to areas that are perhaps have not a hospital nearby, that will do a lot for getting the mortality rates down.
Right.
And then, of course, to treat them with Elekta equipment helps too.
Well, it is a personally heartbreaking and quite sensitive topic for me to discuss. I lost my mother to breast cancer, and I had to witness her for weeks and weeks during the fatal moments. But aside from that, from the Elekta company, Mr. Samuel, how would you hope, what's your hope and expectations for the company to expand within the region? Same thing as I asked to Mr. Teodor earlier. Are there still, of course, you're the leading radiotherapy technology out there, but rooms to grow is always there, especially in our country.
Yes, definitely. You know, as I mentioned earlier, cancer is the incidence of cancer is always rising, right? You know, and you know, Indonesia itself, there is such a diverse population, right? And today, I believe we don't even. I mean, the access for cancer care treatment here is still lacking, and that's where I see the growth potential, where we can grow to expand even further.
Right.
So one of our key objectives, or I would say our aims, is to provide, you know, access of cancer care to you know, people in Indonesia as well.
Right.
So I would say lots of room for expansion.
And the more widespread the equipments are, the sooner they get detected, the better chances that they get treated and be cured. We have finished our segment. Time flies when it's really just very interesting. Thank you very much, Managing Director of Southeast Asia, Mr. Samuel Lee from the Elekta company. And next up, we'll go yet to another medical sector offered from the Swedish company right here on Ambassador Press Club. We'll be right back. thank you for staying with us right here at Ambassador Press Club here on TVRI World. We have arrived to our final segment of the program. Yet another company, a Swedish-born company, to explore, to elaborate. We have just the visuals for you on the Essity, Hygiene and Health, Indonesia. Take a look.
As global health priorities evolve, innovation must keep up. We are Essity Health and Medical, with a wide range of therapeutic solutions explicitly designed to care for you. We provide world-leading incontinence and skincare solutions for dignified care, compression therapy to manage and care for venous and lymphatic conditions, superior wound care for acute and complex wounds, to prevent infection and manage all aspects of wound healing. Orthopedics and medically engineered casts for fractures and ligament injuries, and solutions to deal with movement-related pain. In over 100 countries with highly trusted brands, we are continuously expanding, breaking taboos and stigmas through education and advocacy for health equity, supporting the fight against antimicrobial resistance, delivering health economic benefits to healthcare providers, innovating with patented medical technologies, and ambition to shrink our environmental footprint. We combine clinical expertise with modern design to support individuals, businesses, healthcare providers, and society. By breaking barriers every day, we empower consumers, patients, and caregivers to live active and dignified lives at every stage of their journey.
Well, there you have it, a brief overview on Essity, Hygiene and Health, and that was a Sweden visuals there. Let's go to the Indonesian-based operations here. We have the President Director of the Essity, Hygiene and Health Indonesia, Mr. Irfan Pramono. Mas Irfan, walk us through the operations here in Indonesia for Essity based on what we've seen through the visual.
Yeah, so thank you, Mas Rahmat, for the question. So basically, in Indonesia, we have 150 people. So it consists of medical reps until the management top level. But basically, we place our team actually all over Indonesia, from Papua and also from Aceh.
So all the way from the east to the west,
yes,
you cover
even
the
Papua, yeah, even also Manado and also Bali.
Oh,
so
wow.
all over Indonesia. Yeah. So actually, we established Indonesia since 2017. So it's part of the global acquisition of the BSN Medical.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you can see the video. Actually, we've been it's more than 100 years because of a part of the ACA. But now we are part of Essity.
Right. The video says over 100 countries. I Googled it just now. It's 150 countries,
yeah.
Mr. Irfan, including Indonesia. That is correct. Amazing. And I also had the words that is one of the largest medical products companies in the world. What are some of the most key products that you offer here in the country?
So actually, globally, we have many categories. But for Indonesia, we prioritize on 3 different categories. One is the wound care. The second one is orthopedic. Wound care. The wound care, so the rawat luka.
Yeah.
So the second one is actually orthopedic, and the last one is compression therapy.
So how do you work with the local healthcare provisioner here in Indonesia to sort of have the outreach of your products being used at the most maximum level?
Yeah, definitely, because of we have our team all over Indonesia, so we engage with the healthcare professional and healthcare organization. So we give them education and also how to ensure that because of Indonesia is a big company, right? It's a big country.
A big country.
A big country. With a big
mentioned
country.
That over 18,000 islands.
18,000 islands.
You probably work at some of the largest, catering to 250 million people, so that wouldn't be easy distribution. So
definitely.
What's the outreach there?
So that is why actually why our team actually we trying to engage with all of the stakeholders, especially in the public sector and also the private sectors. So we engage them actually how to increase their education and awareness about all the things, especially on the wound care categories. So that's the thing that we have.
Right. We've also had word with our other guests on the panel today that they've also worked closely with clinicians, medical institutions, universities, for example, to sort of empower the capacity building. Does your company do the same in terms of corporate social responsibility and other objectives within the company?
Yes, definitely, because of currently our coverage in terms of the channel is the public sector, is the government hospital. We also cover the private hospital, and the last one actually the pharmacy. So for the hospital, actually, we also have activity how to engage in terms of the scientific things. So like education, how to provide better access to the patient. So this is something that we develop sustainably to the stakeholder in the government, especially in the hospital.
So do you promote researchers as well, provide grants and things of the like?
Not in the shape of grants, but actually we have collaboration with them in terms of how to make a study. So because of we have a journal study, and also we collaborate with several medical organizations to develop the guidelines, and also develop the consensus. So one of it actually we just launched last year. We developed guidelines especially on the risk of the medical adhesive related skin injury. So we collaborate in 5 different organizations. So then we launched the consensus.
Right. Your Excellency Ambassador, is this something that the Swedish government would pursue in the future to sort of strengthen ties between the medical institutions, medical educational institutions also in Sweden with your Indonesian counterparts?
Absolutely.
More than that's what already established right now.
We have, like you said, we already have some cooperation since a long time ago, but we have new projects as well, and the biggest one is the collaboration with the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, which is one of the most famous medical universities in the world, together with Surabaya University Erlangga, where we are financing a PhD program in medical education, which is financed by the main owner of Getinge, which is designed to, hopefully, that's at least the ambition, to create centers of excellence here as well.
Right. What do you know more of these centers of excellence, Mr. Irfan? Are you in any way involved in these projects? Because we believe it's more efficient. I believe our students would travel to Sweden happily. You take my words for that, Mr. Ambassador. But it's also great that they don't have to travel that far to get all the knowledge necessary to advance.
Absolutely, because we are part of the SISP, which is the Swedish Indonesia Sustainability Partnership. So with this kind of activity, actually, we also have a plan actually to educate more than 1,000 customers in terms of the healthcare professional. And also we would like to reach it's around 1,000 patients to do the screening, especially on diabetic foot ulcer. So that's part of the activity.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, also in the video, one of the best products out there from your company. But again, there must be a way to overcome competitions. What's the strategies there?
Yeah, so there are 2 things. So one actually is we know there are a lot of increasing trend of the diabetic, right? In the diabetic itself, actually we have our I would say like a high quality product. We have Sorba. In the Sorba, actually we have a campaign about the IMR, so antimicrobial resistance. So with this kind of product, actually, it is easily how
something that kills germs or something?
No, actually, in this kind of product, we don't kill the bacteria, but we catch the bacteria without killing them. So that's why we
the good bacteria, you mean?
Yeah.
Like the ones in kimchi. Probiotics ones. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's right. What would you say your most popular, your highest selling products here in Indonesia as opposed to the regions?
So talking about the company itself, so I think knowing about Essity, because very few people knows about Essity, but talking about the product, our product is Hyperfix, is the most selling now. But now we have
what's that again?
Hyperfix, like a plaster.
Oh, okay.
Plaster Hyperfix.
Like a band, like a Band-Aid or something.
Like a Band-Aid, And maybe you know about the Tenso Plus, Leco Plus.
Yes. So one of those products actually Swedish made.
Yes, Swedish made.
That is amazing. I wouldn't know that until we have this panel. And I have to ask this question before we go to our final minutes of the conversations. Mr. Irfan, we are privileged to have you in the panel because you are you're the president director of the Swedish-based company here in Indonesia. What would you say to those inspired out there to also work with our Swedish counterparts here in Indonesia?
Yeah, so actually
say good things though.
Yeah, this is my sixth company.
And this is otherwise he's out of the CIS program.
Is right here. But we believe good things are coming from.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
I would say this is the best, the best company, and also because of the base in Sweden, and with the people focus. I think this is the best people who would like to work in a Swedish company. So people would be the put as a priority how to develop people, how to put a constant of people. So I would say.
And if I may add to that, working with some of the happiest people on earth. I mean, Scandinavian countries are known for their really high happiness index, Mr. Ambassador. What's the recipe to that? We want to be happy as well, like you guys do over in Sweden.
Yes. Well, if I knew, I would probably try to monetize it. I think that the reasons why the Nordic countries are very high on those lists is that we are welfare economies, which means that people feel safe because they know that if something happens in your life, if you are fired, if you have illness in your life or anything like that, there are support systems to cover you, and I think that is a huge burden for a lot of people. Yeah. So I think that sometimes we confuse happiness with feeling safe and being sort of not necessarily a happy person in that thing that you go around laughing all the time, but you feel that you are in a secure place. Yeah.
I actually read about it, the happiness index, and they said the two most important things that they consider is the security, the feeling of security, and equality. So that's something that we need to get as lessons learned from our Swedish
also an excellent reason to work in a Swedish company because of the gender equality issues that are priorities for all Swedish companies.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. We've come to our final parts of our conversations where I'd like to invite the final words from each and every one of you. First from you, Mr. Irfan, what would you hope from our economic cooperations between Indonesia and Sweden, in particular related to your company?
Yeah, so Indonesia we see as one of the important country for Essity globally. So despite of the opportunity in terms of the highest number of population and also the attractive for economic growth, so we also see the challenges in terms of how to patient get better access for health facility and also the high quality product. So that's why Essity with the purpose of breaking barrier for the well-being, we would like to be part of the growth of the country. So we are here to help the company, to help the country actually to have access for the people, citizens in Indonesia.
Right. And over to you, Mr. Samuel, what's your vision down the line?
Okay, I think through this program, we hope that there will be more collaborative efforts with us and the local community as well, so that we can, bring in advanced technology, we bring in more knowledge, and we can share knowledge, we can train more clinicians up. Ultimately, is to improve, access to cancer care within the country itself, and in hopes that we can provide very good quality, safe and efficient radiation treatment facilities within the countries.
Thank you very much. And from you, Mr. Teodor?
Well, Getinge's tagline is passion for life. So
passion for life.
Yeah, so it's very important, and one of our key areas is basically to save lives, right? So it's basically in the intensive care unit, cardiovascular unit, but also to have more operations in the operating theater. So to really provide these solutions to Indonesia, and that you can benefit from these solutions.
Right. And to put Jakarta headquarters in the upcoming meetings. I'm still going for that, Mr. Ambassador. And lastly, from you, we're going for 75 years, and that is quite a number. What's in the agenda here?
Quite a lot. It's no coincidence that I'm here with companies in the healthcare sector, because it's a good example of how we work with the business community, with the academic community, also, of course, government to government. We have Indonesian healthcare delegation going to Sweden later this year. I'm hoping to bring a health minister from Sweden to Indonesia.
And hopefully journalists like us can tag along as well. We'll cover them all for you.
I mean, absolutely. Of course. But for next year, we are going to make a big splash with the Sweden-Indonesia Sustainability Partnership. And we are going to highlight exactly this kind of cooperation. And of course, these are only 3 of the companies we have in these sectors. We have many others as well. Also try to highlight a little bit of our cultural cooperation as well. I was at the Java Jazz Festival yesterday, and I saw the last headliner, Snow Allegra, who is Swedish,
yes,
born from Iranian parents in Sweden. Very much an example of modern Sweden, which is a very diverse country. I know that there are plenty of Indonesians who like Swedish music, Swedish food, Swedish design, Swedish art. So we will try to highlight a little bit of that next year as well. And we have a few ideas, but I don't want to say too much. It's always an issue about finding the money.
We're looking forward to the invitations for your events
of course.
To cover, Mr. Ambassador. We've come to the end of it. We'll have to leave it there. I'd like to express my gratitude to all of our guests for the conversation today. The Ambassador of Sweden to Indonesia, Timor-Leste and ASEAN, Your Excellency, Mr. Daniel Blockert, and also Mr. Teodor Johanssen, Managing Director, Southeast Asia of Getinge Company, and Mr. Samuel Lee, Managing Director, Southeast Asia of Elekta, Indonesia, and at the end of the conversation there, President Director of PT Essity Hygiene and Health, Indonesia, Mr. Irfan Pramono. Thank you very much, Tak, I should say, for your insights and your time here on TVRI World. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the conclusion of Ambassador Press Club here on TVRI World, hinting to a brighter future on the horizons between Indonesia and Sweden. I'm Rahmat Idris. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.